Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you why it's important to meditate every day and how meditation benefits you. I've broken down the benefits of meditation into the top 5 benefits. And the reason that I'm doing this video is because meditation has completely transformed my life in the most amazing ways. And it's exactly why I recommend that everyone incorporate meditation into their daily routine because the benefits are just so numerous. And in today's video, I've broken down the benefits into a few main categories so that you can feel confident that your time meditating is time well spent. So if you're excited to dive into this, make sure to go ahead and hit that like button, hit subscribe, and also click the bell down below for notifications so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. Awesome, let's dive in. Now we're going to get into the top 5 benefits of meditation, but before we do, I want to clarify what meditation actually means because there's a lot of misconceptions around this topic. Meditation is simply the practice of focused concentration where you're bringing your attention back to the present moment in your mind over and over again. So to meditate, all you have to do is get in a comfortable position, close your eyes, and focus on your breathing. And if you notice your mind wandering, which my mind wanders all over the place, all you do is you refocus your attention back on the present moment. So I know this sounds so simple, but that's also why it makes it so easy to discount as not being worth your time. But as you'll learn in this video, there are so many benefits to meditation, so make sure to keep watching. I'll also admit that for the longest time, I thought that meditation was completely pointless and a complete waste of my time. So for all of my skeptic friends out there who think they can't meditate, well, I thought the same thing because at first when I tried to meditate, it didn't feel like I was meditating because my brain was still throwing dozens of thoughts at me every single minute. And so I felt like I was just sitting there in my thoughts and making no progress whatsoever. But I stuck with it and now I'm living proof that meditation is actually a skill that you can learn and all it really takes is consistency and repetition. So if I can do it, you can too, and meditation is absolutely a skill that you can develop for yourself. Also, sometimes I feel like I'm addicted to meditating almost because it just feels so freaking good to clear your mind. And seriously, I totally love it. The first benefit that I want to talk about is that meditation is one of the best techniques to learn to quiet your mind. When you start to practice meditating on a consistent basis, it becomes so much easier to really clear your thoughts. And I like to think of meditation as my own personal form of mind control. I can't control anybody else's thoughts, but I can certainly get better at controlling my own. So I like to think of meditation as how I am really becoming the master of my own mind. And because the mind and the brain also regulate the entire body, when you get better at controlling your mind, you also have the power to improve your overall health simply through meditating. Another thing is that meditation reduces brain activity. So when you meditate, you are literally slowing down your brain waves, which helps your mind and your body relax. So with the whirlwind of busyness that most of us live in our daily lives, this to me is like a total superpower to be able to slow down your mind and relax basically on command. So speaking of slowing down and reducing your brain activity, that leads me straight into benefit number 2, which is that meditation helps you sleep better. Studies have shown that people who regularly practice meditation have higher levels of melatonin, which is the hormone that tells your body when it's time to sleep. So by practicing meditation consistently and really incorporating it into a part of your everyday life, you will likely have higher melatonin levels, which in turn will make sure that you fall asleep quickly and easily every single night. So of course, sleep is so critical to our overall physical and mental health, and most of the body's healing occurs when we're sleeping. So if you struggle with insomnia or just have a hard time falling asleep pretty regularly, make sure to check out my other video, which I will link up in the cards over here. And also make sure to grab my free checklist to make sure that you're not self-sabotaging your sleep every evening. And I will put the URL to grab that free checklist down in the description below. Benefit number 3 is that meditation eases negative symptoms. So meditation has been proven time and time again to reduce chronic pain, anxiety, stress, depression, and it can even lower your blood pressure. So when you experience any of these unwanted conditions or symptoms, it can be really easy to start to adopt that as part of who you are, which is a really slippery slope. Because when you start to think of that disease or that condition that you're struggling with as a core part of who you are, as part of your actual identity, it can end up becoming such a central focus of your life. And the more attention and the more energy and the more focus that you put on it, it actually can end up giving more life to those negative symptoms. So there's this saying that where focus goes, energy flows. And so the more attention that you give to these negative symptoms, the more you actually might end up experiencing them. And I understand that this is so hard because if you have negative symptoms, they're obviously very uncomfortable, which makes it very hard not to pay attention to them. But when you start to believe that this illness or this negative condition that you don't want is actually a part of who you are, that just makes it even harder to feel better and to alleviate these unwanted symptoms that you're having, because you can start to become really mentally attached to them. And when you're mentally, focused on it, you can start to subconsciously expect to feel the pain or expect to feel the negative symptom or expect to feel the anxiety or whatever it may be. And when you start to expect something, you're more likely to experience it. And then when you experience more of it, that just reinforces the identity that that's who you are, and it just turns into a total negative feedback loop at that point. However, now tying this back into meditation, when you start to meditate, you start to get really good at observing your thoughts and observing the sensations in your body and observing your emotions. And when you start to observe yourself, you start to really mentally detach yourself from them, and you really gain this deeper understanding and this deeper self-awareness. And now I feel like the only way to really understand this is by experiencing it through meditation. But basically what happens is you start to realize that you are still you, with or without chronic pain, with or without anxiety, with or without stress, with or without depression, with or without insomnia. And when you make that realization, it's like you kind of start to free yourself from those negative feelings. You even free yourself from the negative symptoms. And when you free yourself from that and detach yourself from them, it's like you stop experiencing them as much, and you end up experiencing less of those symptoms. On top of that, there are so many cases where people have completely healed themselves from all sorts of diseases, illnesses, conditions, ailments, and meditation played a critical part a lot of the time in their healing process. Benefit number 4 is that meditation helps you become more aware of your default thought patterns. Now, as humans, we tend to focus most of our time thinking about things that happened in the past, or we tend to spend most of our time thinking about things that might happen in the future. So through meditation, you become really aware of what your natural thought tendencies are, and you basically just are able to develop a much stronger awareness of how you tend to think, and you gain a lot more self-awareness about your thoughts in general. Also, another thing that I want to kind of emphasize is that your thoughts aren't really you. You aren't your thoughts. It's like your thoughts are this separate entity, but your thoughts are still really important because the thoughts that you think essentially determine how you experience life every day. So your thought patterns and my thought patterns and everybody's thought patterns are actually habitual, because the way that the brain works is that it likes to automate everything. And so the brain takes things that we learned in the past and types of ways that we have thought in the past, and it just starts repeating that basically on an autopilot loop. And so if you feel like, you're not really making any progress in your life, or you feel like you keep just repeating the same circumstances over and over again, and that you're not actually getting to where you want to go, that's because your brain has automated the same way of thinking. And if you keep thinking the same way, all you do is you keep repeating your past over and over and over again. So while I say that you are not your thoughts are still clearly super, super important. So if this resonates with you and you feel like you're stuck and you're not really making any progress in your life, tell me in the comments below. And if I get enough comments, I will create a whole nother video just on this one topic, because this is a lot more that we can dive into right here. Meditating allows you to sort of start to become friends with your thoughts. And it also really helps you start to realize that you shouldn't believe every single thought that you have. The thoughts, I think of them as their own entity, which means that once you realize that, you start to reclaim your power back over the thoughts in your mind, and you realize that you actually have the power to choose new thoughts. I don't have to buy into those old, like unhelpful thoughts or disempowering thoughts or self-sabotaging thoughts anymore, because I recognize that that's just based on an old mental habit loop, an old thought pattern that my brain has been perpetuating for years or maybe even decades. The fifth really awesome way how meditation benefits you and why you should meditate every day is that it improves your concentration and focus. Because the whole point of meditation is to practice focusing your attention on the present moment that you're in. And when you do this, you're basically strengthening that skill in your brain. And when you do that enough over time, you'll find it just much more easier to directly focus on what's in front of you. And then over time, you'll also find it easier to notice when your mind is actually wandering, and you'll be able to redirect your attention back on the present moment again. Meditation is a great way to improve your focus, improve your concentration abilities, and lengthen your attention span. I've heard multiple times that the average human has a shorter attention span than a goldfish, so this is probably something that we could all use some work on. So if you're new to meditating, you can start with just as little as 3 to 5 minutes a day, and then gradually increase the amount of time. So that's exactly what I did. That's how I started meditating. I started with just 3 minutes, then 5 minutes, then 10, and now I could sit there for up to 30 minutes, or I could probably even sit there for up to 45 minutes if I really wanted to. So just stick with it. This is really the power of repetition, and consistency really is key with meditation. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel, hit that like button, and also click the notification bell down below to make sure you get notified every time I upload a new video. In the meantime, make sure to check out these 2 videos over here where we dive more into meditation and mindfulness and how that works in the brain and how it can help you live more in the present. So that's all for now. Remember, you can get good at meditating. I believe in you, and I'll see you in the next one.